Hey everybody, this is attorney Kenneth Stevens from the law firm Stevens PLLC, and you're catching episode 3 of Ken's Construction Combos. Let's get into it.
The construction industry is one of the most complex industries in the entire world, with everything from change orders and project defects to properly bidding projects and keeping your accounting. It's time someone had a serious conversation about these things. You are now watching Ken's Construction Combos.
So, I appreciate you coming out. I really appreciate you agreeing to do the show for me, David.
Okay.
Why don't you just tell everybody who you are, what company you're with, and then we can kind of get into the combo.
Okay. I'm David Webb. I am the formerly chief estimator of Satterfield Pontikes. Now I also work with our development company and do some work in our other offices as well.
Okay. Awesome. And so, tell me a little bit about Satterfield and Pontikes. I call them S&P for short. So,
Okay. S&P was started in 1989. We are a general contractor that does industrial work, aviation work. Most people know us because we build a lot of high schools and work, I think, in about 24 different districts.
Wow.
So we work all over the state. And then we have an aviation group that does quite a bit of work, both in New York as well as Los Angeles.
So, what projects, just kind of like some examples, I know you said high schools and airports, what do you guys currently have going on, maybe like in the Houston area right now?
We are currently, we're just recently awarded the Katy ISD new high school, which is about a 580,000 square foot high school.
Okay.
We have 4 new projects that we're just starting that are the replacement elementary schools that were from Hurricane Harvey.
Oh, okay.
For HISD, we have those 4 starting. Obviously, at this time of year, we're wanting to wrap up a number of schools to get them ready for the kids to come back next month.
Gotcha.
So we have several projects in that stage as well.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you all do both public and private work.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes,
and
we do.
A lot of schools, it sounds like.
And then we have our development group does quite a bit of industrial type work. We do tilt wall construction, and we're doing that in Midland, in Baytown, various places.
Gotcha. And I think earlier you told me you guys do a whole lot of Walmarts as well.
Yes.
Okay.
When Walmart was building a lot, now they're in a little different model than they were. It's interesting to see how e-commerce is
Exactly, right, Amazon.
which is really a lesson, I think, for construction as well. Don't put all your eggs in one basket.
Exactly, because they are coming with a lot of new technology in construction, everything from 3D printing to casting. I mean, you see, I'm keeping up with a lot of this stuff, and I'm actually educating myself on the laws as it relates to those things. But I think it's very interesting that, you know, when we start getting into 3D printing of these different buildings or different pieces of the building, you know, you have a crossover of law where it is no longer just construction and contract law, but you get products liability stuff because the defects are, you know, in the actual machinery. So it's really, really interesting. Okay, great. Well, one of the things that I want to talk to you about, because you guys are obviously a large general contractor, I think that we can kind of provide value for some people by talking about the process or just what do you all look for when it comes to selecting subcontractors?
Okay. Kenneth, there's 3 basic things. One, we need core competency in that subcontractor. So we want them to be able to perform. And we also need to have a good safety modifier. Their EMR needs to be 1 or below. And the third probably is they need to be a team member. Because when we're making our schedules or we're determining how we're going to build a building, that subcontractor is an equal member of the team. And we take their input. We pull a lot of information together, but it's absolutely essential that they know the project. So when a subcontractor comes in, we want to be able to identify that they've done similar projects, they've got the manpower, they have the financial wherewithal, and then we can help structure big packages to help them.
Okay, gotcha. So core competencies, safety, and basically a team attitude.
Yes.
Those are the three things.
Yes.
So it kind of, I guess, kind of transitions to my next question as well. How do you all determine those kind of core competencies? Like, how do y'all vet these people?
You need to know what projects they've done.
Mm-hmm.
So if someone, say we're going to be looking at a junior high school that's
Mm-hmm.
300,000 square feet,
Mm-hmm.
and a particular sub wants to bid 3 or 4 sections of that job,
Mm-hmm.
we want to know that they've done a similar project.
Gotcha.
I like to know who they've worked for previously.
Mm-hmm.
If I don't know them, I like to be able to make some phone calls.
Okay.
We also want to know they've got the financial wherewithal.
Okay.
I encourage people to maybe bid a little less and establish their relationship and the rapport,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to trying to really bite off more than they may be,
Exactly.
you know, a little
Yeah.
more than they should be doing.
Gotcha.
Because I know from a subcontractor standpoint, you want to get as much work as you can. That's the natural
Exactly.
impulse.
Yep.
But it's our job to kind of, as a teammate, to help them to do the right amount of work in the right time frame.
Because it's better for you to do what you can handle,
Yes.
prove yourself,
Yes.
build up to being able to handle more than, you know, like you said, biting off more than you can
Sure.
chew, and then being in a really bad situation. So one thing that you said that I thought was interesting, because I get this a lot, you know, they're trying to look, my clients that are GCs are trying to look at like the solvency or the financial health of these companies. How do you all, is there some kind of way that you all determine that? How do you all look into it?
We obviously, if we don't know the people, we do a D&B. We look at Dun and Bradstreet, but as importantly as that, as you well know, you can look and see if they have liens, if they fail to perform, and I just look them square in the eye and say, who are you working for? How many people do you have? What kind of credit lines do you have? And if I know that, one of the questions we can ask is, are they bondable? If they're not bondable and they can't tell me who their surety is, then generally the size projects we do, that would be a concern.
Gotcha.
They frequently don't need to bond the project, but if they would be unable to do so, it gives me a little more pause.
Exactly. Some red flags pretty much go off. I think it's interesting that you talk about, you know, being able to check for liens. You'd be surprised how many people I, you know, have done business with, and, you know, we get involved and now we need to go after a sub. And, you know, the first thing I do is check to see if they've been sued or if they have a bunch of lien filings. And you go in there and look, and there's a truckload of them, you know. So it's a situation where it's like, if you had done, you know, some due diligence, you probably could have avoided the situation. So I think that, you know, that's really good. And obviously, you don't grow to S&P size without doing a good job of vetting subs, because you know, I like to think that the subcontractors, like you said, are very important to the success of the project. I mean, they're in there day in, day out doing the actual grunt work that's involved in the project. So having a good set of subs is probably, you know, well, it's not probably, it's very important. Do y'all have a tendency to work with a lot of the same subs after you've built some relationship with them?
Particularly like in the education arena, the people who build schools, particularly larger schools, there are a core of those subcontractors, and there'll be 3 or 4 deep that you'll see on almost every bid.
Gotcha.
And it rotates where, depending on how busy they are, then their prices, of course, fluctuate a little bit. But we don't just go with the low bid. One of the things that is our core mission is to get the right team, so we want the best team that the budget will allow. So sometimes it's not the low, it's the better qualified.
Gotcha. And I like that. And you see that sometimes on the public side as well with the bids. It's not just the lowest bid all the time. So, you know, it's the best value. I think even in Fort Bend they do that a lot of times.
Since the model has changed to where it's CM at risk as opposed to the competitive sealed proposal, there's a qualification matrix. So they look at us that way, and we look at the subs that way too.
That makes sense. So I guess the last thing I have for you is like what's some things that will really just land a sub in hot water with a contractor like you all? Something that's just kind of like, it can get you blackballed.
It's integrity. And an example would be if a sub signs a release, like he's paid his bills and maybe diverted funds to a different project. That is an absolute, really,
you're done.
That's pretty serious. The other thing is, if we read the contracts, we expect that they read the contracts. We certainly make them available, we talk about it. So if someone comes back and doesn't know the deliverables of the job, don't know the schedule, don't really, and we get into that situation, it's very disconcerting because it can put the whole project at jeopardy. And it may be 10 other subs who are affected. And so we really want, that'll get you in hot water with us.
Gotcha. Did you all hear that? I want to talk directly to you all because I'm always on video telling subcontractors in particular, and even sometimes general contractors, when it comes to different projects, you all have to read the contracts. And if you're a sub, don't just read your subcontract agreement. You just heard from this man here that you will have access to the owner contractor agreement. You should review it all, understand it, because a lot of times there's going to be some flow down provisions in there, and that's going to be applicable to you. So you want to have a full understanding of what you're getting yourself into. That way you can perform. That way you don't bite off more than you can chew. Anyway, I wanted to tell you I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for doing this. I know you're a busy guy. Y'all got all these different projects going on. And if there's ever anything that I can do, if you ever want to come back on the show, just let me know, and I'm sure everyone would appreciate it.
Kenneth, you do a great job. I'm happy to help any way I can.
I appreciate it. Thanks a lot, David.
Intervals.